this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and you've arrived at day 61 of the 100 Days of Zentangle Project 2020. Thank you guys so much for being with me today. Our tangle is going to be a very cool architectural type tangle, and it is called Egg and Dart. It is by Simone Menzel. She is a CZT from Dresden in Germany, and her website is called Simtangle, S-I-M Tangle. So you can look her up if you'd like to see. She has got a ton of examples. Simone's hometown, Dresden, is a beautiful place, and it's full of old architecture. And I guess she and her husband were enjoying a walkabout in their empty of tourists' hometown, and were enjoying the architecture, and she came across something that looks like this on a building, and you can check out her website or her blog on this and see some pictures of the actual architecture, and come to find out this was actually a style back in the day called Egg and Dart for obvious reasons. There are several variations of things that you can do with this, and so let's get started with it and see. I love architectural patterns. There are so many opportunities for shading, embellishing, and such. All right, let's start today with our 4 dots, one in each corner, and connecting them with a simple penciled line. I'm going to go ahead and put in my special Maria Thomas border that I love with a big flamboyant loop. And then I think I'm going to get right to it. This tangle starts with some parallel lines. It is a square-based grid tangle. I'm trying to keep this in camera. I already recorded this once, and so this is my second go around. The other one had, again, many instances of drawing out a frame. So I'm going to really try to do my best to keep most of this in. And I'm going to go ahead and fill up my entire tile with these parallel lines and leave myself some room to play around in there. So not too narrow. You can make them smaller or larger if you like. I want to remind you that this is your art and you can do with it as you like. The next step is to do a narrow aura line right next to each one of these parallel lines that we just drew. Now I am drawing my deckled lines, which means they are wavy and unpredictable and very organic and natural. They certainly are. It was an epiphany to start looking at them that way instead of dismaying at how terrible they were. One less thing to worry about, right? I got really excited when I saw this on Untitled Patterns today. All right, the next step is to start in the middle of your tile and draw a straight line down the middle, going behind the parallel lines that we drew with the aura just a few minutes ago. And then we're going to divide this into square-ish sections. Some of them I allowed to be rectangles simply because I didn't want to end up with too many half ones. And I'm going to go ahead and extend that all the way down. And I'm going to turn my tile 180 degrees and do the same thing, dividing the section on the other side of that center line. And this gives me a pretty good little square grid with some interesting edges. The next step we're going to do is we're going to draw half of an oval. We're going to leave a little bit of room between the middle line and where we're starting and ending so that we have a little bit of space there in the middle. And we're going to continue and do this sort of open C shape, this longish oval, half oval. When I think of half ovals, I think of them in the other direction, but this works. And I apologize for this being out of frame once again. I'm trying so hard to find decent camera angles, and it's been frustrating for me. Whoops. I got to start in the wrong spot there, but it's still going to work out. So I'm going to continue on and fill these squares, and I'm going to go ahead this time and do these all in the same direction, facing the same direction. I am interested in trying the other way. I had a second tile that I did where I played a little bit with changing that up, but I decided for this one I wanted the focus to be on the pattern itself and not on anything else. And on these squares that aren't completely whole, oops, I missed a spot there. I'm sure I'll catch it when I come back around. Just continuing to put these long open C strokes. Ooh. I went off on my little adventure there. It's okay. That's okay. We'll figure something out. I always do, which always amazes me. There will be another type of pattern segment that we'll do in this middle part where the ovals come together with the middle center lines. And so that's why we want to leave a little bit of a space there. Of course, you can play around with different ways of configuring this. There. Okay. So next, we're going to put an aura line right inside this line that we just drew, these long C shapes. There we go. Just like that, taking our time. Since that is something I constantly have to remind myself about. I want you guys to take your time. Don't get in a hurry. I wouldn't want you to ruin something that is otherwise awesome by being in a rush. Art takes time. Good art takes more time. You have to be patient and be willing to let it take as long as it takes. See if I can figure out that I missed this earlier. Yes, I did. Okay, and now I'm going to aura the inside of this. Okay. This pattern and talking about Dresden, Germany made me think about a little lady that I met on a train once traveling to Kaiserslautern, a lady from Dresden. Let me hold that story. The next thing we want to do is we're going to round these oval shapes into sort of little egg shapes. We've done a lot of rounding lately. And this is just the same thing, and we are going to black those little spots here in just a moment. I just decided to go through and make the stroke and then come back through and do the blacking next. It really is up to you how you want to handle that. Some people really prefer to do it one way, and some people prefer it the other, and there is nothing wrong with whatever you want to do. So the goal here is just to make that inner shape look vaguely egg-like. Hence the name Egg and Dart. And we'll get to the dart part in a moment. We've definitely got some egg shapes here, and that works for me. So the lady I met on the train was from Dresden, and that was, in that time, that was the 80s, and at that time the wall was still up between East and West Germany, and it was a real eye-opener for a young American just out of college to be confronted with the reality of communism and oppression and the things that they were suffering back then before the Germanys were reunited. That was an amazing time. A lot of change. So, and it got me thinking about all the amazing architecture I saw. Just the carvings in the faces of the buildings alone was just incredible. It was an incredible experience living in another country when I was young. I learned so much about the world and life. Not all things good, but I learned nonetheless, and that's important. I have a deep appreciation for the beauty of the land and the people there. It just got me thinking about Deutschland. If you guys are good, someday I'll sing you the Cindy song that every single German I ever met in Germany when I lived there sang to me when I was there. Oh, I bet some of you guys in Germany know this song too. This one, okay, here we go. Hopefully I won't get a copyright claim on this. Cindy, oh Cindy, dein Herz muss traurig sein, den Mann, den du geliebt, ließ dich allein. Story of my life, boy, I tell you. Oh my goodness. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. So much fun, though. So much beautiful scenery. Oh, man. Nothing fills your heart like seeing places like that, I tell you. Incredible. Nothing as beautiful as the first time I drove through a sunny Sunday morning right after a snowstorm when the forest that we were driving through was covered in icicles. It was so bright and sparkling that you could barely see the road. It was amazing, amazing. Such beauty there, such beauty. All right, so clearly I have gotten to the blacking portion. You know, the danger with voiceovers is I have too much time on my hands. And so I'm probably going to end up rambling a lot. And so we don't want that necessarily. I mean, I sang you the Cindy song. Dear God, what was I thinking? But I bet I leave it in. We'll see. If you don't hear this, then you'll know what happened. Just a few more. Take your time with your inking. Keep in mind the point is to relax, not rush. Just focus on filling each white space with ink. Enjoy the feel of the pen as it goes over the paper. Don't forget all of your stars. I like that, stars. I sure do get a lot of those. Well, I have done fairly well for me in this situation. I should not speak so soon. Then I run right through a line. Story of my life. Now, once we have this inked, we have another element that we're going to add. It's going to be sort of a half circle that we're going to add at the apex of this curve. I think I got all my spots. Okay. All right, now we're going to make an arch that goes from one corner of the box to the other corner on the same end, like this. And then we're going to aura the inside of that, but I think I go ahead and draw in these forms first, which is cool. And if you're careful, you pay attention, then you can match these up from box to box. There you go. Played a little fast and loose with these auras, but you want to aura these now. Auras in patterns like this are really important for the separation it gives you visually between sections. Okay, so now we're going to fill these little half circles with hatch marks, just straight up and down, or in my case, horizontal, depending on how you're drawing on your tile, or page, or paper. Whatever you're using is fine. The important thing is to just draw. And if you are able to set yourself up with some decent supplies, so much the better. First thing I'd get would be a sketch pad. And you can try all the ideas that you have when you learn a pattern. It's called playing with a pattern. You just let your imagination go wild. I love that part. I don't always come up with something, but it's fun to imagine. Now, this finish to the bottom here that I'm doing right now is not my favorite one from her examples. I'm going to show you on the next row or two the one I do like better, but this one's very effective. And if we turned the next row upside down, like I was thinking about to begin with, then we would have sort of these hatch marks matching up between squares, and that might be an interesting addition. Something to think about. Okay, the final step here is to ink every other space here that's left. And I think you'll see what I mean here. You're just going to pick a section to start in and then ink every other section. So we're going to skip the one next to it and get the next one. Remember, don't rush your blacking. Just give yourself time to do a good job. Think how proud you'll be the next time you look at it. When you look up close and all of your little stars are inked over. I always love looking at a sea of deep black with no stars. Of course, that's just me. I love the stars too, but not these kinds of stars. And this makes a cool pattern by inking every other one. She has added more drama and more interest to this. She's got quite a few other examples of ways to vary this if you'd like to take a look at her website. So this is the way it is in the step out on this first row. Now, excuse me, let's move on and see what else we can do. Now, the other thing that she did and changed from this top row is that instead of arching this the way she did, she changed that around and arched it in the other direction. Sort of like a sword point coming down, if that makes sense. And that's a completely different look from the top. I rather like this version. And I'm going to aura it again to create separation. Well, I didn't quite get turned the right way there, but that's okay. Hopefully you can see why, and sorry about this again being out of frame, but hopefully you can see why adding auras and hatch lines and things like that are important to differentiate between the sections, and it makes for a much more dynamic end result, I think. I like that one. I like that version. And I think for now I'm not going to ink every other section. I'm going to go down here and make some more. She also has a version with these little leaf shapes at the point of, as I call it, the little sword, which is also a cool deal. And then you can aura and ink around that. Okay. Let's see if I can tuck another edge in there. Okay, I don't hate that. You know, I'm recording this at 2 a.m. and I've still got cars whizzing past on my street. What is going on? Go to bed, people. Go to bed. Okay, here's where we're at. I think down here on this last row, I'm just going to put some of these little sword point things in and auras and do the vertical hatch marks and see where we're at, if I even have any space to do that. So here's where I'm at, and I'm going to take my black Verithin pencil, and this is the same thing you would do with your graphite pencil. It acts pretty much the same, it just doesn't tend to reflect the light like graphite does, so that's what I tend to choose to use. But you can blend it with a tortillon just the same. And, keep a good sharp tip on your pencil if you're going to use a colored pencil so that you're able to push the pigment down into the tooth of the paper. So in order to really enhance this feeling of roundness with our little egg, I'm going to put some color around the inside edges here. Imagine there's a little egg sitting in that little cup, and you'll have our plan. We're just going to bring a little round contouring to these little egg shapes. And I love this, giving it that sort of 3D effect that the carved, I don't know what you call them, that the carved edges around the decorations, around the embellishments on the buildings, that's where I'm going to go, are just gorgeous in Europe. And Germany is no different. I will always have a special place in my heart for Germany. So again, just putting color down around the edges here. Darkest at the very edge where the line is, and lightest toward the middle. But as soon as I blend this, then I'm going to come through with my white charcoal pencil and really brighten this up. And I don't think I got that on camera, but it's going to make a huge difference to how dynamic this looks. So let's get this blended out. All right, I love the rounded look that this gives the little egg shapes. And I definitely will be coming back through here with my Verithin and deepening those sides of this even further. And since I'm working on a gray tile, the white charcoal pencil is going to be the perfect way to finish this off. When you do more than one shading pass, you really have the opportunity to deepen the shadows and give it a more finished quality. Also, when you do this kind of thing, you really want to pay attention to making sure you get your color right on that line so that you don't have those little white areas showing like I did on that one. I'll catch it here in a minute. I hope you guys will do me a favor, and if you have been enjoying these videos, and I know a lot of you have, if you would please share them with someone, that would make me really happy. It doesn't have to be an artist or an artist wannabe. They don't even have to particularly be interested in Zentangle. It just has to be a person that always wanted to draw and see if it's something they want to try. You might be surprised at who has that desire inside them that you never even knew. So something to think about. And again, this Verithin works so well with the tortillon. You can just rub these out and blend them just like you can. Just like you can with your graphite pencil. Got a little heavy-handed there. And of course, I've still got some reflection. True color lights. As soon as I get this uploaded, I will see if I can find some. Because that would be awesome to not have this problem anymore. $7,100K, he said they have to be in order to be true color quality. And so some of you that photograph your work frequently might want to consider that for yourself. I don't know enough about it to know whether or not it would be effective, but I sure do want to try it out, as that aggravates me a lot. Okay, so here is where I have clearly missed the bus with turning on the camera, and so you missed the application of the white charcoal pencil. But here I am going through on the next row down and adding an opposite black-white pattern of what I did on the row above. If I can get it in the right place. It's always a challenge with me. Guys, remember, if you are going to post your art, please tag me with it on Instagram at the Tireless Tangler. That makes it easy for me to find as your art pops right into my feed. I think that's awesome, so please do that if you can. And if you don't want to do that, then try emailing me a picture of what you're doing at thetirelesstangler@gmail.com. Now here I know I'm out of frame, but I'm just adding a couple of extra lines to give a little bit more interest to these little, I'm not sure what we're going to call them. It's not a sword point anymore. But I'm just going to add some sort of radiating lines, just to sort of give it some texture. And down here, yeah, think I'll just I don't know why I blacked one and didn't the other. And I still got to get underneath these little leaf shapes here. Just going to add a little bit more graphite. And we'll be done. All right, guys, this is where I'm going to leave you today. Just a little more graphite and some finishing touches, and that should be it. I've really enjoyed this pattern, and I'll be drawing it some more. I think it has lots and lots of possibilities on it. And so I can't wait to see where you guys are. Don't forget to tag me with your art on Instagram at The Tireless Tangler. And if you have missed any of the videos in this 100-day project, you can catch those here on this playlist, as well as this video that you probably haven't seen yet. And don't forget to subscribe and shoot me a comment. I love hearing from you guys. That makes this all worthwhile. I'll see you tomorrow.